Welcome to Good Life. I'm Dean Wilson. So glad you're with us. You can always find us at goodlifetelevision.org. You can find us on all the social media platforms, and on goodlifetelevision.org you can see the full interviews, and you can also see what we call power clips, which are some of the great moments, some of the great stories from those interviews are there. So we hope you'll check them out. There's some great people, stories of overcoming, executives, famous people, not famous people, young, old, all walks of life. It's been a really interesting journey here as we've got to know these great people. So hope you'll check it out, goodlifetelevision.org. My guest today, I'm really excited about this program, is Michael Baker. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Michael is the CEO of the United Boys and Girls Club here where we are, which is in Santa Barbara County. He has a long history with the Boys and Girls Club, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But start with kind of growing up. You were you grew up in upstate New York. I think you're one of five.
Youngest of five boys. Yeah.
What was that like? How did that go?
It was a boys' club. It really was.
Right.
It was. I wouldn't change it for anything. And God bless my mother. I don't know how she did it. My father too. It was a. We certainly, when I was first growing up, we would definitely have been classified as lower upper class, if you would, economically. So we certainly weren't wealthy by any stretch of the imagination. And then when my parents split up and I was with my mom, we were that was a tough situation. But my mom and I were on welfare most of my life.
Really?
Yeah. And if it wasn't for that program and some people along the way that helped guide me, I would have never found my way to college. Government program allowed me to go to college, and that allowed me to go work for Boys and Girls Clubs, and here I am. So
wow,
I'm a big proponent of. I do believe things happen for a reason.
Yes,
and people are put in your path to help you along the way, and I've been very fortunate to have some just incredible people along the way that have helped me.
I read this quote from you. You said, "The minute I walked into the Albany Boys and Girls Club, I knew this was where I wanted to spend the rest of my career." Number one, that's a kind of a rare thing and an amazing thing. But your story of kind of going there and then, I don't know if you were an intern or whatever it was, but you were doing some school credits or something and then the rest of this history. Talk about kind of your first experience going there and what it was like for you.
I tell this story all the time, and I love telling it because it brings me back to my roots. When I was in college, my plan was to be a guidance counselor. That's what I want. I want to be a middle school guidance counselor, and I was taking all the courses I needed to. And then my junior year, my advisor, I was what they call an EOP student, stands for Educational Opportunity Program, and it's a government program that allowed me to go to college. It was geared towards low-income kids who needed a hand up. And that program really allowed me to go. And my junior year, my advisor called me into his office, and he just passed away a couple years ago. This is, in my career, when I'm done, my Mount Rushmore, people that have impacted my life, he's on there twice. He'd be on that mountain twice. Wow. This guy. He ended up. He sat me down. He said, "Michael, you haven't taken any electives. You've taken all core courses for your major." And I said, "Yeah, I understand that." He goes, "Well, aren't you interested in some other things?" And I said, "Well, sure, what should I do?" He goes, "You know what? There's a pamphlet that just came out of all the nonprofits in Albany, New York. If you go to one of those nonprofits and put in 72 hours in the semester," we had semesters in Albany, you get 3 college credits. And I thought, okay, that's an easy A. I can do that. And he threw the book to me, and I looked it over, and the first page I turned to said, but then was the Boys Club. And even though we served girls at the time as well, I said, the Boys Club. He goes, and his name was, this gentleman that was impacting me, his name's Abdul Jarvis, 6'4", very thin African-American gentleman that was just an angel to me. And he said, "You know what, I think you should go down there. I think you'll really like it." And I said, "All right." So I ran to the Boys and Girls Club from my dorm. Yeah. And when I walked through the front door and I saw the staff member, it was a club director, he was leading maybe 15 kids into the gymnasium. He had a clipboard in his hand, a whistle around his neck, Boys and Girls Club staff shirt, jeans, sneakers. And these kids looked at him like he was a god, and I thought, guy's got the greatest job in the world. I don't know what he does, but this is awesome. And there was a table off to each side, and there was the staff working with kids at each table. Well, what really jumped out at me was everybody in that building, except me. Everybody was African American, everybody. So I thought this must be an organization for African American kids. And so the next day, I went back to my advisor, Abdul, who's African American, and I'm pacing outside his door, and he finally comes out. He goes, "What's going on?" He was meeting with someone else. He goes, "Everything okay?" I said, "I need to change my major." He goes, "What?" He goes, "You don't change your major your junior year. What are you, nuts?" I said, "No, I'm changing my major." He said, "To what?" I said, "Afro-American history." He goes, "Are you crazy?" I said, "I'm going to work for the Boys and Girls Club." I said, I need to do that if that's what I'm going to do. And he said, "You'll never graduate in time." I said, "Yes, I will." And I did, and that's exactly what I majored in, and it really helped me significantly. Not only did I do the 72 hours at the club, but it really helped me with a lot of urban affairs issues, which is why I've always felt very comfortable, no matter where I get dropped off. I mean, I'm not from Santa Barbara. I wasn't from Everett, Washington. I wasn't from Skagit County, Washington, or even Lodi, New Jersey. I'm not even from Albany. But I felt comfortable. I could make it work. So
wow,
I give him credit for pointing me in that direction.
And your first job was the program manager in was it Lodi?
Yeah, Lodi. Just like Lodi, California, but Lodi, New
Jersey.
Completely different type of community.
I bet,
totally different. Just over to George Washington Bridge from New York City.
And then you became executive director there.
Yes.
And then I was kind of tracking your, and you went to Everett, and then you ended up in Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's an amazing journey you've been on, and the impact you've had at each. I wrote down, this guy is a difference maker. That's actually what I wrote down, because I was reading that's just the stats and the stories, and I wanted you to talk about one particular story, which is the motel program in Anaheim.
Sure.
That was fascinating and amazing to me. But tell the story.
Well, when I first started working in Anaheim in 2000, I joined a group called the Collaboration to Assist Motel Families, and I was a member of the committee, and the committee was put together to help families that live in motels. Now, this isn't the Disneyland hotel people are living in. These are low-income motels that are about 20 feet by 30 feet, the rooms at best, 20 by 20. The average room had 6 people living in it for 5 months at a time. Okay? When they did the 2000 census, they knew that there was at least 2,000 school-age kids that lived in motels in Anaheim.
Wow.
Okay? And I thought, okay, that's a lot of kids. So the way the program came to be was we had a meeting scheduled for, we met every month, the second Tuesday of every single month we met. And it was always at 9:30 in the morning. And about late December, we had we created a subgroup because we were noticing that some families were having success in moving out of motels, which is very difficult because they can never save enough money for first and last month's rent. They're stuck. Mm-hmm. And so we said, let's do a feasibility study to figure out what's going on here. So the group was going to be presenting their information. They said it's going to probably take us the rest of this year and through the summer, and then we'll be ready by September to present for next school year what we can do to help. We thought, okay. So all along the lines, we had meetings every month. And then in 2001, the second Tuesday was 9/11. And I'm a native New Yorker from upstate New York, not from the city. But all the events by 9:30 in the morning had already happened. All the horrific events. And I thought, I don't know if we're even going to have this meeting today. Sure enough, we did. And I remember going to the meeting, and Pastor Mary Hibbard, who United Methodist Church in Anaheim, she was the pastor there. She kept, her pager kept going off. She had a pager then, kept going off, and she had to keep going, helping. And the other person, Reverend Jimmy Gaston, I remember him getting called to the convention center. Picture this. I mean, there was 2 conventions in Anaheim at the time when this happened. People couldn't go anywhere, so they were in a panic. And I remember him leaving, and the first item on the agenda was this group was going to give their results of the feasibility study. And the chairman of the group got up, and they had done nothing. They had done nothing. And I remember, honestly, I was upset. And I remember thinking, what am I doing here? I mean, and then I thought, well, what am I doing? And I asked the question. I said, we talk about these kids. I said, how many kids are we talking about? I said, there's 2,000 kids. I said, okay, where's the highest need where the most kids are? And they said, well, that would be the Arena Inn, which is a stone's throw away from Disneyland, not that far from Disney, in the resort area. I said, okay, at that time we had 2 vans at our club, and we used them to go pick kids up in the afternoon, bring them to the Boys and Girls Club from school, and then the van would sit for 23 and a half hours. I said, well, why don't we we'll take our vans, go pick kids up from the that motel, bring them to the Boys and Girls Club, we'll bring them home. And I remember the committee chair going, that's great, Michael, but we can't afford to pay for it. I said, no, we'll figure it out. We'll work it out. I remember getting on the phone after the meeting thinking, what have I done? What have I committed this to? And I called our board chair, and these are the people that deserve all the credit. I can have all these in the world, but without support of a really strong board, they're just ideas. And I remember calling the board chair and saying, here's what I think we should do. He said, if you think we need to do it, we're doing it. So, okay, done. So that night on 9/11, I remember it for a different reason. We went door to door, knocking on doors, signing kids up at that motel, and the next day we picked up 60 kids from the Arena Inn Motel and brought them to the Boys and Girls Club. And that was the first motel we started the program. We expanded there was 42 low-income motels in Anaheim. We expanded to all the motels. We picked the kids up and we brought them to and from the Boys and Girls Club. We didn't charge anything, and that became a real change maker for us. In that people looked at us saying, "Whoa," because that's not what Boys and Girls Clubs do. It's not that, we were just taking a different path. It was what was needed, and I'm very, of all the things I've ever been involved with, that's the one I'm most proud of. Reaching those kids, of all the kids.
Yeah, that's incredible. What has been so we're sitting here, it's 20 years later, 19 years. What are there any stories or I know that had a huge impact on those kids, but have you heard anything kind of along the way, like, about any of those kids and what's happened since?
Sure, yeah. Let me I'll tell you a spin-off that came of that talk about impact, and another person you should have in the show it's in Anaheim, but he's another person that goes on the mountain twice. When we had started the motel program, we'd been doing it for about 4 years, very successful, and he was on our board. He's the owner of a restaurant called the White House Restaurant in Anaheim.
Yes,
Bruno.
Okay.
So
the White House, it burned down.
Yes, it did. It's rebuilt now, but here's the story. That part of it. He was on our board at the time, and he wanted to bring his mother down to the Boys and Girls Club to give her a tour, to show her what we were doing. His mother didn't speak any English. Caterina, from Italy, northern Italy. And as we're taking the tour of the club, we're walking through the game room, and I can go back to that club right now and point to the exact spot where this happened. And his mother saw the kids getting, crackers and juice from our snack counter, and the line of kids, and she asked him in Italian, "What is that?" And I explained to him, "That's snack. That's our snack time." And then she asked him in Italian, "What do these kids eat for dinner?" And Bruno asked me, and I said, "We can't serve dinner here. We don't have a way to make it." And I remember her getting very boisterous with him. And he's like, "Okay, Mama, okay." And he said, "Listen, Mama and me," in his broken English, he said, "Mama and me are going to go down to the White House. We're going to make pasta for the kids." And I thought, "Oh, this is incredible. This is the most the highest, best restaurant in Anaheim. It's going to be making pasta dinner for our kids that night." I thought, this is going to be a great night for these kids, right? That was April 18th, 2005, okay? That night. Made pasta for the 80 kids that were at the club that day. He's done it every day since. He's served over 5 million meals to kids all over Orange County, LA County. He was a CNN Hero finalist in 2012 or 2013. He was a finalist for the CNN Hero Award. And again, that happened because of the fact that we were reaching motel kids who had a high need. He saw it, and what he did from that was feeding kids. Not only that, but I think he's over 70 families that he's been able to get out of motels and help to give them first and last month's rent so they can have a permanent place to be. So there you go.
Unbelievable.
And that's Bruno. He deserves all the credit for that.
Well, I've heard about. Okay, I have a friend down there who knows him well, which is how I knew about him. I've never met him, and I'd heard something about him doing food for. So it started that day,
April 18th, 2005. probably around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah.
The Italian mothers are very
Oh,
powerful, aren't
yeah.
they?
I married an Italian woman. I know. Believe me. Believe me. It's
When Mama says
it.
that is unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Wow.
brutal. It's still going to this day, and you know, I keep in contact with him on a regular basis. He's a hero. And I remember when he didn't win the final award, I told him, I said, listen, I don't care what they say.
Right.
You're a hero. You're our hero. There's no question. Look what you're doing
Right.
for the kids. Our kids don't go to bed hungry because of him. Every night.
He does it every day.
Every single day. Every day. That's Bruno.
That is unbelievable.
That's Bruno.
Wow. How did you get to Santa Barbara? I mean, I know
I took the 101. No, I'm kidding.
101 North.
That's a good story too. Our son, misguided. Our oldest son. I can help a lot of kids. This one I really messed up with because I've been a lifelong Red Sox fan, and somehow I don't know how this happened. He went over to the dark side. He's a Yankee fan.
Really?
Yeah, and I just
Is he still in the family? Have you
not really.
cut
We
the
kind of
cord?
I kind of just
Yeah.
no. He's allowed in the family. He's a great kid. In all seriousness, he was applying to colleges his senior year in high school, and he got an acceptance letter to UC Santa Barbara. He's way smarter than me. He takes after his mom, not me. He ended up and we get the acceptance letter. He had pretty much set his mind that he wanted to go to school back east. He was looking at Northeastern University. He liked that school, and there was a couple other schools he liked. And we hadn't even looked at the schools here in California. So he said to me, "Dad, I'd like to, I'm going to go back east to school." I said, "Well, let's take a look at Santa Barbara. We've never even been there. We'd lived in California 15 years at that point. We'd never been to Santa Barbara.
Wow.
We'd gone to San Francisco. We didn't take the 101. We went, we took the 5. We went that way. We flew to San Francisco. We had never seen this part of the state. So we packed everybody up in the car, and we left Lake Elsinore where we were living, which was at that time it was like 105 degrees that day, and we're driving up. And when we got to Ventura, again we'd never seen this part. The furthest north we'd been in the 101 at that point was to see the Hollywood sign, as a family. We'd never gone further than that. So we drove. We get to Ventura, and you see the ocean. And my wife, who grew up in Long Island, was like, "Oh," I said, "Isn't that beautiful?" And I thought, okay, how long is this going to last? It basically just led us to the campus of UCSB, right? We get to the campus of UCSB, and this is student visitation day, prospective student visitation day. They direct us to park down by Santa Cruz, the dormitories down there. We get out of the car, and it's like 74 degrees. Beautiful day. My son looks around. There's probably 40 students walking around. More than half are female, just coming from the beach. And my son goes, "Yeah, I'm going to go here. This is where I'm going to school.
Sold.
This is where I'm going."
Right.
What? And my wife's like, "Maybe you want to see the library?" "No, I'm going here. I like it here. This is great." Okay. So I found out when that happened, I had heard my best friend in Boys and Girls Club work at the time was Carolyn Brown. Now, Carolyn Brown ran the Boys and Girls Club of Santa Barbara. Okay, and I'd known Carolyn up in Washington State. We'd worked together in Washington State. And Carolyn, I called her up. I said, "Hey, guess what? Brennan is going to be going to UCSB." And I remember going, "Are you kidding me?" She could remember him as a baby. She goes, "You got to come see my club." I said, "I'd love to." She goes, "There's an opening at United." I go, what are you talking about?" She goes, "There's an opening at United. You should apply for it." I go, "Carolyn, why would I work for United Way?" I go, "I've been working for the Boys and Girls Club." She goes, "No, United Boys and Girls Clubs." I go, "What is that?" She goes, "It's another Boys and Girls Club in our community." I said, "Wait a minute, let me get this straight. You have 2 separate Boys and Girls Clubs in the same community. Both have Santa Barbara in their name. One says that it's United, and you guys aren't United." She goes, "Yeah, that's right." I go, "Wow, I wonder if that causes some donor confusion." She goes, "Yeah, it does." And so I said, "Well, let me talk to my board here to get permission," because I was under contract there. I said, because it is a nice area, and did my homework, and sure enough, applied, and was lucky enough that they offered me the position. And been here 6 years.
Wow.
Love it. Love it. Best move I ever made. It's coming.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, the weather.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. The weather's fantastic, and the people, and I have not. I think in 6 years, I commute from Buellton every day. I think in 6 years, I've hit traffic once. I think I've hit traffic once,
Yeah.
compared to
Yeah.
spending an hour and a half
You're
in traffic
not in New
each
Jersey
way
anymore.
Oh God, no, no more I-80. I don't need that anymore.
Right. How would you, looking back, I mean, you've had a long career in leadership at the Boys and Girls Club. What, and like I said, you've made a difference. You've had an impact. How would you, if you were talking to somebody who was just starting out in leadership in philanthropy in general, let's say, I mean, just that really wanted to have an impact. So they don't want to just have a job in nonprofit work and get the check and do. They want an impact. What counsel would you give that young leader from what you've learned about how to have an impact?
I know that I'm definitely a minority when I say this, in that I love my job. I love everything about my job. There's parts that are more challenging than others, but I love it. My wife, she was here, she'd tell you, my favorite day of the week is Monday. I love it. It's not that I don't love my family. I love my family too. But I really enjoy what we do. And the reason I enjoy it is because I know it works. I know it makes a difference. And I've been blessed in that I found my passion early on, and I've been able to make a career out of it. And, you know, what I tell people, and I've talked to a lot of high school students and college students as well, if you can find your passion and you can somehow make a career out of that, you'll never feel like you worked a day in your life.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And I wish I made that quote up. I didn't. I'm sure someone else has said it many times, but it's the truth. It really is the truth. If you can find out what you're really good at and your passion, and you can make a career out of that, and if that career happens to be making a difference in people's lives, which, I mean, mine is like, it's so incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
And you know, like you said, you know, success along the way. I happen to be the face of the success. I'm not the one doing it. There's staff that work with these kids every single day. There's board members that help to help raise money, and there's donors that help support what we do. Those are the people that deserve all the credit. I have the easy job. My job is easy. I say, hey, I'd like us to do this. Okay, how are we going to get it done? I don't know, but we're going to do it. We'll figure it out. Yeah.
Easy for you.
Yeah, right? It's easy for me. Yeah.
You're an eternal optimist, and you're known for your passion, which you just talked about. This has been a rough year. We're sitting here now in 2021, but 2020 was an interesting one. Talk about the COVID. We only have about 3 minutes, but talk about the COVID response, what you guys are doing, and kind of how you've led through that.
Sure. You know, we talked earlier about basketball. I think we've been doing more pivoting than Magic Johnson did on the basketball court. We have to in these times that we're in, and that's one of our big strengths, is being what I call nimble. And when the pandemic hit and we could no longer operate under normal circumstances, we immediately turned our clubs into food distribution centers, because that's where the need was. You saw it all over the country. There were lines. Well, from mid-March to mid-June, we served 110,000 people. We gave them food baskets at our club sites. Nobody told us we had to do that. It was just the right thing to do. And then, because of the great support of United Way has helped significantly, and major donors along the way, Virtue Healings is one of them, huge supporter of the clubs, and Paul and Jane Orfala, the Audacious Foundation.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for those folks, and many others as well, we wouldn't have been able to open our clubs. But we did reopen our clubs in July. We pulled off a merger that had been on hold for basically 20 years. The Boys and Girls Club of Santa Barbara was separate from United. That merger happened. Again, the credit deserved for that are the two board presidents of the two organizations making that happen. I could want a merger to happen all day long. It's not going to happen. The CEO tries to make it happen. The board chairs have to make that happen. And David Bolton and Tony Viejo deserve all the credit for that, along with all the board members that made that happen. But it's a huge deal.
Big deal.
Something that went under the radar for a lot of people. Like, you guys merged? Oh my, that's unbelievable. It's been trying to do that for years. But being there to support the schools, the vast majority of our members in all of our clubs, from Lompoc, Carpinteria, Goleta, Buellton, both Santa Barbara clubs, Solvang, a lot of our members, the vast majority of them, don't even have the internet at home. How are they going to do distance learning?
Right.
And if it wasn't for the great support of Cox Communications,
Right.
for us, our kids wouldn't get the support at the clubs, but they're getting it. We have our tech centers at the Boys and Girls Clubs, and we're supporting the kids. And right now, you go to any one of our clubs, they're all open right now, supporting distance learning. And these are very high need kids that are there, very high need.
So good.
Oh, it's, again, I'm here while that's happening. That just shows you I'm not doing the work. Those are, the people who are there want to deserve all the credit, and the people that helped us open those doors.
That's
So
beautiful.
it's been incredibly rewarding.
Are the Red Sox going to be back anytime soon?
3 years, yeah, 3 years. We're gonna take our lumps for the next 3 years, but I love the Red Sox, man, absolutely.
They'll be fine. They
You
did
do
beat
know-
my Dodgers a couple of years ago.
And you can steal this line, and all of you that are watching can steal this line. The next time you see someone wearing a Yankees hat with an NY on it,
Right.
you walk up to them and you say, "You know what the NY stands for, right?" And they say, "Yeah, New York." I said, "No, next year. It stands for next year." My line.
That's a great line.
That's my line.
I didn't intentionally wear a Dodger blue tie, but
Hey, it's okay. It's all good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
thank you.
I think every team should win a World Series every 38 years. I think it should. Yeah, I think it should. Yeah.
That's good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good having
Appreciate
you.
it.
We'll see you next time.